Hello and welcome. You're watching the Wednesday edition of This Is Exclusive with me, Shavan Sen. Ladies and gentlemen, 4 killings in Pakistan. Close aides of Maulana Masood Azhar and other terror groups. It appears that there is a war of supremacy amongst the terror groups, something that Pakistan perhaps does not want to really talk about. Tonight, we get you the real truth, the truth behind this war. And the fact of the matter is this, ladies and gentlemen, terror kills terror. And that's exactly what's happening right now in Pakistan with 4 major killings that have taken place in Pakistan. A big exclusive coming up tonight on This Is Exclusive. Up first, let's take a look at the headlines we're tracking at this hour. Big political face-off as Supremacy government revises dress code, revokes hijab ban in recruitment scam. After Prime Minister's Murkho ke Sarkar jibe at Rahul Gandhi, Congress says BJP is scared of election results. Over 100 hours on rescue operations continue on war footing as at least 40 workers still remain trapped in Uttarkashi. Joe Biden set to meet Xi Jinping on the sidelines of APEC summit. All eyes on that big meeting. As Israel continues to fight terror, United States shares intelligence, says Al-Shifa hospital being used by Hamas terrorists. Virat Kohli breaks a record for highest number of centuries in ODIs, surpasses Sachin Tendulkar's record. Starting this edition with that big exclusive coming up. Viewers, terror sponsor nation. Pakistan is now reaping what it has been sowing since years. Pakistan has witnessed back-to-back terror attacks in a span of just 1 month. Moreover, the interim Prime Minister has quoted that the nation has seen 55% hike in terror cases in 2023. But what has raised the eyebrows is the recent killings of terrorists linked to Jaish-e-Mohammed and Lashkar-e-Taiba. And Republic's investigation has tried to uncover the truth behind these murders. Is Pakistan trying to put a lid and not telling you the truth about the terrorist killing? What is it that Pakistan has essentially been indicating? The recent killing that has taken place of a close aide of Jaish-e-Mohammed chief, they say this was a result of some robbery. But the reality seems to be completely different. And that's exactly what we are going to uncover tonight, to tell you that there is something that Pakistan is essentially hiding. Remember, all these groups, terror groups that have been nurtured by Pakistan, it seems that there is a war that is going on within the ranks of Jaish-e-Mohammed and Lashkar-e-Taiba. And that is exactly why it has led to multiple killings. Killings of those key people who are basically linked to cases here in India. Not to forget what has happened in the case of the 2018 Pathankot attack. There too, one of those most wanted here in India has been killed, neutralized in Pakistan. Take a look at this report where we play out that exclusive information that we are putting out, which goes on to indicate that there is an attempt that has been made by Pakistan to try and hide something.
For decades, Pakistan has been known for sheltering, nurturing and funding terrorists. In the recent weeks, Pakistan did reap what it has been sowing for long, with back-to-back terror attacks. But there is more to the strikes that Republic investigation has tried to uncover. It began on October 11th, when Pathankot attack mastermind was killed in Sialkot. On October 21st, close aide of Maulana Masood Azhar, Dawood Malik, was shot dead in Pakistan's North Waziristan. On October 10th, LET commander was killed in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa. In the latest, another close aide of Maulana Masood Azhar, Maulana Rahimullah Tariq was murdered. Republic's Pakistan correspondent tried to get more details from the cops. Station house officer confirmed the murder of Maulana Masood Azhar's close-eyed Maulana Rahimullah Tariq, but feared to speak more.
कसवर क्लास से बात कर रहा हूँ इस्लामाबाद से। आई एम एडिटर ऑफ द इस्लामाबाद टेलीग्राफ। आप खैरियत से हैं?
माशाल्लाह सर, आपकी दुआएं।
गुड गुड। ये क्या वाक़या हुआ है मौलाना रहीम तारिक साहब का? वो तो बड़े बेज़रर आदमी थे।
सर रहीम तारिक साहब का?
जी।
वो जो कल हुआ है?
जी जी बिल्कुल कल हुआ है जो।
सर वो पाकिस्तान बाजार में हुआ है।
ठीक हो गया तो क्या है, कोई ज़ाती दुश्मनी तक का शाखसाना था या इसके पीछे कौन लोग हो सकते हैं?
सर ये मैं कोई कमेंट नहीं कर सकता सर, लॉफुल का मामला है। अभी मैं पाकिस्तान बाजार शकील हाफिज रिंद साहब का नंबर भेज रहा हूँ सर, क्लासा साहब।
अच्छा मुझे आपकी नौकरी का वो स्टेक पर डालने का वो नहीं है, आप सलामत रहें। आई गॉट योर पॉइंट।
We also spoke to the investigating officer who claimed that it was not a targeted killing but instead a case of mobile snatching.
इसका आपकी फाइंडिंग क्या है?
सर अभी तक तो कुछ क्लियर नहीं हो रहा है, तरफ तो जा रहा है कि अपना चीना झपटी हुई है।
अच्छा अच्छा, तो मतलब स्नैचिंग वगैरह।
स्नैचिंग वगैरह। और दूसरी तरफ ये है कि वो एक नाकाम थे और हाँ, और उनका किसी वैसे उस टाइम ये था कि किसी सियासी तंजीम थे या फलाने थे, लेकिन अभी मैंने सारी तफ्तीश की है, सारी जांच की है, पता किया, देखा है किसी वे से भी कोई ऐसा कोई वे नजर नहीं आ रहा है।
और कोई क्लू है नहीं, मतलब ठीक हो गया?
नहीं सर, कोई गरीब आदमी था ये। और इसका जो वालिद था वो बेचारा नाई था।
सुना ये पंजाब से थे?
पंजाब झंग से।
ठीक है, लिया झंग, ठीक हो गया। तो मतलब अभी रुक उसी तफ्तीश का उसी साइड पे जा रहे हैं, मोबाइल स्नैचिंग का वाक़या।
While Pakistan continues to deny links, 4 killings in a month have raised questions.
One thing is for sure, and that is these killings were not the ordinary killing. We have to wait until police comes up with solid evidence to prove their standpoint. Kasper Klasa for Republic World, Islamabad.
Well, as Republic's Pakistan correspondent Kaswar spoke to the station officer to find out the reason behind the death of close aide of Maulana Masood Azhar, Maulana Rahimullah Tariq, the station officer essentially denied to reveal any information while saying that it would essentially lead to costing him his job and if he reveals anything. In fact, this actually tells you that there is something that Pakistan essentially wants to hide. Why is it that the same officer essentially tells our Pakistani reporter that if at all he reveals the truth, what is the reason behind the killing of Maulana Rahimullah Tariq, it would essentially result in costing his job. Not just that, he also reveals yet another truth. The truth is this, ladies and gentlemen. Pakistan is now trying to give this spin that Maulana Rahimullah Tariq happens to be someone who's not linked to Jaish-e-Mohammed, but the reality is completely different. Listen in to what the SHO had to tell Republic TV's Pakistan reporter.
कसवर क्लास से बात कर रहा हूँ इस्लामाबाद से। आई एम एडिटर ऑफ द इस्लामाबाद टेलीग्राफ। आप खैरियत से हैं?
माशाल्लाह सर, आपकी दुआएं।
गुड गुड। ये क्या वाक़या हुआ है मौलाना रहीम तारिक साहब का? वो तो बड़े बेज़रर आदमी थे।
सर रहीम तारिक साहब का?
जी।
वो जो कल हुआ है?
जी जी बिल्कुल कल हुआ है जो।
सर वो पाकिस्तान बाजार में हुआ है।
ठीक हो गया तो क्या है, कोई ज़ाती दुश्मनी तक का शाखसाना था या इसके पीछे कौन लोग हो सकते हैं?
सर ये मैं कोई कमेंट नहीं कर सकता सर, लॉफुल का मामला है। अभी मैं पाकिस्तान बाजार शकील हाफिज रिंद साहब का नंबर भेज रहा हूँ सर, क्लासा साहब।
اچھا I got your point. مجھے آپ کی نوکری کا وہ سٹیک پر ڈالنے کا وہ نہیں ہے. آپ سلامت رہیں. I got your point.
Well, that's first reaction that we're getting in from the station house officer. And herein comes the big twist. First officer tells our reporter that if he speaks, he will lose his job. The second phone call that we actually made was to a senior officer. Now, this senior officer tries to give a complete different twist. The officer who's basically squarely played down Maulana Rahimullah's links with Lashkar-e-Toiba commander. In fact, he goes on to say that there is not just no link, he says that this is a case of robbery. Listen in to what the senior officer had to tell my colleague Kaswa.
کیا حال ہے؟
ہلو
صاحب کیا حال ہے آپ کا؟ کسور کلاس میں بات کر رہا ہوں. آئی ایم ایڈیٹر آف دی اسلام آباد ٹیلی گراف.
ہلو
رین صاحب آپ کو آواز آ رہی ہے میری؟
ہلو
جی رین صاحب آپ کو میری آواز آ رہی ہے؟
ابھی
جی رین صاحب میرا نام کسور کلاسرا ہے. آئی ایم ایڈیٹر آف دی اسلام آباد ٹیلی گراف فرام اسلام آباد.
جی جی کیسے ہیں آپ؟
میں بالکل ٹھیک ہوں تھینک یو. آپ کی فائنڈنگ کیا ہے؟
ابھی تک تو کچھ کلیئر نہیں ہو رہا ہے. ایک طرف تو جا رہا ہے کہ اپنا چینا جپٹی ہوئی ہے.
اچھا مطلب سنیچنگ
وغیرہ اور دوسری طرف یہ ہے کہ وہ ایک ناخان تھے اور ہاں اور ان کا کسی ویسے اس ٹائم یہ تھا کہ کسی سیاسی تنظیم تھے یا فلانے تنظیم. لیکن ابھی میں نے ساری تفتیش کی ہے, ساری جانچ کی ہے, پتہ کیا, دیکھا ہے کسی وجہ سے بھی کوئی ایسا کوئی وے نظر نہیں آ رہا ہے.
اور کوئی کلو ہے نہیں مطلب ٹھیک ہو گیا؟
نہیں سر کوئی غریب آدمی تھا یہ اور اس کا جو والد تھا وہ بیچارہ نائی تھا.
سنا یہ پنجاب سے تھے؟
پنجاب جھنگ سے.
لیا جھنگ ٹھیک ہو گیا. مطلب ابھی روح اسی تفتیش کا اسی سائڈ پہ جا رہے کہ موبائل سنیچنگ کا واقعہ ہوتا ہے.
اور یہی ہو سکتا ہے اور کچھ بھی نہیں ہے ایسا, کچھ بھی نہیں اور کچھ
ٹھیک ہو گیا.
کچھ نظر نہیں آ رہا ہے. کیوں کہ اس کا جو ایک بھائی درزی ہے وہ پنڈی میں ہے, ایک بھائی وہ ہے اپنا نائی کا کام کرتا ہے وہ جھنگ میں ہی ہے, ایک بھائی یعنی کوئی بھی بڑی پوسٹ پہ یا بڑی کوئی ہائی لیول کوئی اچھا سیاسی تنظیم کوئی لشکر جنگی سے ہو یا کوئی ایسا جنگ میں رہتا ہے تو میرے ایک دم کان کھڑکے میں کہا یار جنگ سے ہے تو اس کا مطلب یہ ہے کہ لشکر جنگی کا تو نہیں ہے. وہ اس طرح پھر میں نے خود ملاقات کی ان کے بھائیوں سے اس کے بعد سے تو اور اچھی طرح میں نے وہ کیا, پتہ لگا کہ کوئی ایسا کچھ
میڈیا میں کوئی باتیں آ رہی تھیں کہ مولانا مسعود
انڈیا والے جو ہے نا وہ انہوں نے کوئی اپنی چلائی ہے وہاں پر کوئی خبر.
میرا خیال ہے کہ ہمارے کان میں کبھی کھڑے گا.
تو وہ جو ہے نا وہ اپنے گمراہ کرنے کے لیے اپنی عوام کو خوش فہمیوں میں مبتلا ہو کر کرنے کے لیے تو انہوں نے یہ کام یہ ایسا قدم کیا ہے انڈیا والوں نے. حالانکہ ایسا کوئی لینا دینا نہیں ہے.
ٹھیک ہو گیا سر, تھینک یو ویری مچ.
Let me also break it by colleague and our Pakistan reporter Kaswar, who's getting us that big exclusive. Kaswar, congratulations first to you for bringing out, uncovering the truth while you're in Pakistan. 2 phone calls that were made, people who were linked to this investigation. The first officer actually gave it away. He makes it very clear that there is something that Pakistan does not want to reveal when it comes to the killing of a close aide of Maulana Masood Azhar. You did actually ask him about what's the truth. He says that if I open up, I will lose my job. So it's a clear indication that there is something that Pakistan does not want the world to really know.
Well, Shama, you rightly pointed out there is no denying that a called station house officer, and he was afraid to tell the story behind this killing. Definitely, what we have just revealed, we have just investigated. He was afraid to tell me the real motive of the killing, target killing behind this high-profile killing as well. And again, definitely, I am a journalist, and it's my job to at least try to get, at least try to make people reveal what's behind the truth. And this is what we as journalists are supposed to do as well. And I did just my job. And you have rightly pointed out, and that's I then called one of the senior journalists who was a senior police officer who was actually dealing with the case as well, and he narrated a very totally different story. And as we all know that what's really common in Karachi these days, unfortunately, mobile snatching. And according to the senior police officer, it was just merely uh, an accident and an incident of mobile snatching that actually cost the lives of one of Pakistan's prominent religious scholars. So we are actually doing our job. I don't know what the story behind all of these killings as well. And even I am not in a position to reveal anything else as well. You know my position as well. But I tried, and what I tried dig out, I have to dig out, and I came up and with the exclusive details as well. So you have rightly pointed out that the two police officers narrated a totally different story. But the one thing is for sure that four religious scholars have been gunned down across Pakistan during the last 1.5 months. And all of these were, according to my investigation, I don't believe police version that these were the ordinary killing. Even I don't know whether they were associated with the banned militant organization or not. But one thing is for sure, these killings have actually shocked Pakistani police and Pakistani law enforcement agencies, because I believe that they were not ordinary killings. Two were gunned down in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, two were gunned down in the heart of Karachi, and God knows whether this series of attacks continues or not. We are not in a position to make prophecy on this angle. But one thing is sure that Pakistani law enforcement agencies are really in a fix. You know, we have also run the audio tapes as well. A police officer was even afraid to tell us what was actually behind these attacks. Well, but another senior police officer narrated a totally different story. God knows what's happening inside Pakistan. Thomas.
Kasper, one quick question that I want to take with you. What's the real story here? As we understand, close aides of Maulana Masood Azhar, and then you also have others who are part of the Lashkar-e-Toiba hierarchy. It does appear that there is a war of supremacy that is actually taking place within all the terror tanzeems, starting from Lashkar-e-Toiba to Jaish-e-Mohammed. What's the real reason? Is Pakistan's ISI now perhaps losing control on the very terror groups that were basically created by them?
Well, Shaman, honestly, I am not in a position to make any claim, honestly. And you have to consider my position as well. I cannot even reveal what's cooking inside Pakistan as well. I can just tell you at the moment is 4 high-profile killings have been done across Pakistan. 2 in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa province and 2 in Karachi. And also one of them happened in Sialkot as well. I have no clue that whether it is a infighting between some of the banned militants here, but everybody, including you and the world, knows what actually is happening inside Pakistan. Whenever we put question to the Pakistani authorities, they answer us, we are the victim of terrorism. On one hand, Daesh is calling the shot in Pakistan. On the other hand, ISIS is there. And most interestingly, they all of them put the blame on Indian side as well. And let me tell you that one thing is for sure. Whenever Pakistani side do not want to investigate anything credible, they put the blame on Indian side as well. And same is the case with Indian side as well. This is what, and we the journalists are actually sandwiched between this controversy as well. What I can tell you from Islamabad is that these killings, these murder of these prominent Pakistani scholars is not an ordinary thing. And it is happening for last 1.5 months. This is very unusual. I have been a journalist for 18 years and still counting. And I wish to count as well my journey, I believe my journey has just started, and I wish to continue this journey as well. But during last 18 years, I had never seen the killings of most prominent Pakistani religious scholars like this is happening right now in Pakistan. Can you believe the murder of four prominent religious scholars in last 1.5 months? And police is in the Pakistani police is just putting the blame on just mobile snatchers. Even a journalist like me, for a journalist like me, it is very hard to believe that the most religious, prominent religious scholars were gunned down in the heart of Karachi just for just in the hands of mobile snatchers. This is something I can't believe. But I don't know what the real story behind it. 4 and 5 people of same posture have been gunned down across Pakistan, and Pakistani police is not revealing the real story. Even I don't have clue what's happening in Pakistan. Whenever we put these questions, whenever we ask the authorities, higher authorities in Pakistan, we just got to know that on one side Aziz, on the other side TTP is there, and these anti-militant and anti-Pakistan forces are being backed by Indian side as well. This is the answer. This is a typical answer what we get from Pakistani authorities. And this is very hard for me to tell the real story. I mean, I don't know whether it is the infighting between the different groups or really it was an act of, mobile snatching, which claimed the lives of one of the most prominent Pakistani religious scholars. This is hard to believe. And let's move on the other side as well. The killings that happened in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa were that also as a result of mobile snatching. What happened there in Sialkot? So should we believe the Pakistani version of Pakistani authorities and Pakistani police that those were also an act of robbery and burglary? Yeah, this is something that I cannot believe.
Well, in fact, Kaswar, there is absolutely no doubt that at least... Kaswar, I'm sorry to interrupt you. I'm sorry to interrupt you because I'm running short of time. But there is absolutely no doubt from the investigation that has been carried out by you. It is undoubtedly daring for a Pakistani reporter to actually, get the truth out of the authorities in Pakistan. But the fact of the matter is that the station house officer clearly indicates that there is something more than what meets the eye, or else he wouldn't have made the statement that he would lose his job. Thank you very much, Kaswar, Republic's Pakistan reporter, getting us that big exclusive from Islamabad. A story that perhaps the Pakistani media as well as Pakistani authorities were trying to brush it under the carpet. Shifting focus now to that big meeting in Washington. Ahead of talks with Xi Jinping and Joe Biden, with the goal for the talks is simply to try to get US-Chinese communication back on the table and perhaps make it a little bit more stable given the tumultuous year that they've had. US has basically listed their objectives. Joe Biden said that the goal is to being able to pick up the phone and talk to one another, and there is a crisis that needs to be addressed. To be able to make sure that their militaries still have the contact with one another. Joe Biden further noted that US is not trying to decouple from China, but what we're trying to do is change the relationship for the better. Now, that's what US President Joe Biden had to say. Remember, both the leaders met last time in Indonesia, this time at the sidelines of the APEC summit. Remember, it's the big economic summit that's taking place. Both the leaders would be meeting. This at a time that there are several global headwinds that have taken place. In fact, this is a meeting that we have been tracking very closely. Joining us from Washington is Republic reporter Yashwant is going to join us in a short while from now. We'll try and get the latest from Yashwant. Yashwant, thank you very much for joining us on this broadcast. Could you give us a sense of this meeting that is going to take place on the sidelines of the APEC summit? Both the leaders are finally meeting. As far as the current situation is concerned, the Biden administration perhaps realizes that the position that China is in right now, keeping in mind its equation with Russia, its equation with the Middle Eastern countries, perhaps there could be some rethinking vis-a-vis US-China relationship.
Shravan, hi. Yes, this is an opportunity for the two leaders to sit down, and as you rightly said about Biden's reaction when asked about his expectations from the meeting, he said he wants to get back on course on corresponding normally. So these two leaders will meet at an undisclosed location somewhere in Northern California. That's what the White House schedule says. They will start in about at 11 in California, which is going to be around 9:30 in India. And the meeting is there is no end time for the meeting. So the next event for Biden is a press conference that he will address at 4:15. So from 11 until 4:15, there is no saying how long this meeting will last, but it will last a couple of hours, and presumably it's going to be a working lunch meeting or something of the sort, because that's the time. And but once again, the schedule doesn't specify if it's going to be a lunch meeting or a working lunch meeting, or as these meetings sometimes are described as. But as you rightly said in your opening remarks, this is the first time the two leaders are meeting in person after their meeting in September 2022 on the sidelines of G20 in Indonesia. And much has happened in between then and now. As you would recall, most famously, the spy balloon incident, where the two countries really were eyeball to eyeball, and tension had kind of escalated to new heights completely. So much has happened also on the economic front. Now, Xi, if you remember, in 2021, he had talked about how the East is rising and the West is declining, meaning China is rising and China is going to be replacing the US as the preeminent power in the world. He comes to the US a much chastened man now. If you remember, if you recall, his economy, Chinese economy, is struggling. Unemployment rates are at an unprecedented high of 21%. So much so that Beijing has stopped publishing official data on youth unemployment. His real estate, Chinese real estate, which drove Chinese economy for decades, is in a mess, is in a complete shambles. The companies are folding up. And there is, of course, she also faces this increasing export controls on components for high-tech devices and equipment. So he is coming up a much chastened man. And Biden and his officials have pointed out in public remarks that Biden goes to this meeting on a very strong ground. Economy is inflation, new data released yesterday, day before, show that inflation is slowed down. Economy is humming, as they say. And so that's the situation in which these two leaders are meeting. She would be slightly on the defensive, not defensive, but as I said, he's not as strong a wicket as he would have been, say, maybe a year or two ago. So that's the context in which the meeting is taking place.
Right. Well, thank you very much, Yashwant, for getting us the latest details from Washington, a story that we'll be tracking very closely. Remember, in the current time, the relationship between US and China, which has been spiraling down, there would be hopes that the Biden administration has in order to arrest it as soon as possible, in order to be able to navigate through the Russia-Ukraine war and, of course, what's really happening in Israel too. That's all that we could pack in this edition of This is Exclusive. On the other side, news and updates continue.
Hello, Moto.
Motorola, India's best 5G smartphone brand.
Co-powered by Philips Smart Wi-Fi LED lights, smarter generation की smart lights.
In the global employability rankings by Times Higher Education UK, only the following 6